Hey everybody, welcome back to Magic Orthodoxy. My name's David, and this is a magic comparison. All right, so what are we doing? You know what? I don't normally do this, but I can start. I mean, if you guys like this, definitely let me know in the comment section below. But I got two effects this week, reviewed two effects this week, and they were both very similar. However, they're also very different. And so I thought, you know what, let's just compare them. Like maybe you're on the fence. Maybe you're on the fence and you're saying, I don't know, I really like Control from Murphy's Magic. Or you're like, I don't know if I should get Silent Assistant from Sans Minds. And so let's look at these two effects. Very similar and very different, right? And they cost different in price. And so let's break it down for you and just give you the 4-1-1. All right, so number one, Control by Murphy's Magic. And you know, I'll put the links below in the description for the reviews I did as well, so you have that information. But Control from Murphy's Magic sells for 60 bucks. 60 bucks. It comes in a hard-shelled box, and the hard-shelled box is about this size, okay? Silent Assistant comes from Sans Minds Creative Labs, and it sells for $50, so it's $10 less, and it's this size. So this is your size comparison, okay? $60, $50. If I put them like that, that's your size comparison. Now, could you say, well, is the Control box empty? Is it just a lot of negative space? No, it's not. In fact, the Control box is jammed full of stuff. So the Control box has a ton of stuff. It takes up that much space, and the things that they put inside there are all different. The Sans Minds box doesn't have a lot in it. I think it only has 4 things in it, 4 or 5. And several of them are exactly the same. So difference in price, yes, but also difference in size and difference in what is available in each box. All right, let's break it down a little bit more for you. Now, I'm certainly not advocating one over the other. I don't have any partisan favorship for Murphy's Magic, even though I do reviews for them. They do send me items to review for free, but I'm not obligated to do a positive or negative review for anything. So I don't pick favorites, and I try to be as fair as possible when I do my reviews. So I'm not going to show any favoritism to Murphy's over Sans Minds, okay? And I know there's a lot of people that have very strong opinions about both companies, okay? So even though it might sound like I'm in favor of one over the other, I'm really not, okay? And I just want to make this so that you can spend your money wisely. You know, we make purchases all the time as magicians, especially now when it seems like new effects come out every single week. And so you're constantly, I think, being bombarded from these companies to spend your money here or here or here or here. And you, as the consumer, you only have so much money, right? You have a limited supply of money, and you want to make the best choices you possibly can, because nothing sucks more than spending, you know, a ton of money on something and you get it in the mail and you're like, that's it, like, great, right? So I want to keep that from happening to you, and that's kind of what I try to do with all my reviews, try to help you make wise choices. All right, so here we go. One of the questions I always ask is setup and reset. So in this device, it would be, how do I get it on and how do I get it off? So it's load and unload. Control comes with a way to load it and unload it. It comes with it in the box, like ready to go. Like, it was one of the coolest things about this device, and I loved what they sent me. So Control comes with a way to unload it and load it. Sans Minds product doesn't. You will have to build it yourself. Also, I think with a device like this, we're always worried about whether it's visible or invisible, right? So the Sans Minds device is smaller, much more smaller, and way more invisible. Like, people will not see this. It'll be right in front of their face the whole time and they won't see it. As opposed to the Control gimmick, it's much larger and much more easier to see. I wouldn't dare put the Control device on my person and then try to flash my hands on screen, because on screen you have the ability to pause, you have the ability to rewind, and that's a lot of the reasons why I don't actually even perform tricks on video, because videos have to be edited. In order for someone to convincingly pull off a magic trick on video, you've got to edit it, because there's the possibility that someone can pause it, possibility that someone can rewind it. You take a couple screenshots and you figure it out, okay? So Control, I wouldn't dare put on my hand. Wouldn't dare. It's much too big. And also, a couple of times the control device actually flew off my hand. Like, literally. Because it was so big, it actually didn't fit my fingers. So my fingers were too small for the control device to fit. Now, they will cover in the control instructions how to tailor it to fit, okay? But it requires you to bend it and tweak it and yada, 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 okay? So I just didn't do that. Plus, there were a couple of times where my control device actually fell apart. It didn't break. Let me just say, it didn't break. It only consists of two parts, and they are just kind of like inserted one into the other, and those two pieces just came undone. It fell apart. I could put it back together, but if that had happened during a performance, it would have been all over, okay? So there is some heaviness, some weightiness to it, some thickness to it, some bigness to it. So between the two, Silent Assistant is invisible, looks like part of your body. Nobody will ever see it. Also, both devices, both Control and Silent Assistant, are for light-skinned people. So pretty much, if you have skin tone similar to mine, they're invisible. But if you don't, you've got to fix it. So yeah, they cover a little bit. Control actually covers it a little bit more. So if you watch the Control video, they do go over some tips about how to make it more darker to fit a darker complexion. But Silent Assistant, I don't remember them doing that as much. So again, they build both of those for light-skinned people, and what they offer is, it's the same as a thumb tip, right? It's the same as a thumb tip. Now, as far as the teaching and the video instruction, the control video is 2 hours long. Okay, the Silent Assistant video is 1 hour long. So difference in price: Control is $60, Silent Assistant is $50. One is $10 more, one's $10 less, but Control has twice as much video instruction, and the box is bigger and it comes with more items. The difference in price between the two, $10, Control has way more effects that are taught, so therein way more possibilities for doing magic, and so much more creativity on the video itself. And in fact, there's way more teachers. You get a whole myriad of teachers on the Murphy's Magic instructional video, so much so that they cut back and forth between them all the time. Silent Assistant only has Herman, and Herman doesn't teach as many tricks. There is the part at the end where it's kind of done in pantomime and it looks like there's a different teacher, but for all you know, that could be Herman too. So, because they never show their face. So, teaching-wise, Control has more effects, more diversity of effects, way more creative teachers behind the effects. In fact, when you're watching the video, I got through the first half hour of Silent Assistant, because remember, it's only an hour long anyway, so you're 30 minutes in, and they haven't shown you anything in that video that you couldn't do with a Raven. I can buy a Raven for $15, okay? I don't need another Raven. I certainly don't need a Raven PK device, right? A PK ring that looks like a Raven. I don't need that. So halfway into Silent Assistant, I was thinking, what does this do that my Raven can't do? Okay, so that was an issue that I had. So I feel like Control gives you way more for your money. Silent Assistant acts more like a Raven. Control is also more powerful, okay? Because Control is bigger than the device, or I should say the science behind the device is larger and therefore stronger and more powerful. So Control has way more power to attract, repel, vanish, do all that, okay? Silent Assistant is way less powerful. You actually have to be closer to your objects. But again, you always have to be worried about whether your objects are going to act like the science behind it as well. And I think with Control, the objects act more like the science. And with Silent Assistant, it's not as obvious. Control seems a little bit more obvious. I did one trick for my son. He's only 10. And right away he said, oh, it's that. And he was right. He was right. Because we see the science behind these effects all the time. They're a part of our everyday life. And when we see objects act like the science is the force, we're right, because we recognize it. We see it all the time. So Both devices, I think, are similar in that regard. You gotta really want to do these style of effects in order to purchase these. I don't think that either of them are the end-all end-all. Like, they are not going to answer all your prayers and dreams and hopes, okay? I think if you've got a Raven, like I said, they're only 15 bucks. If you buy a Raven and do some of the science behind that and apply that to some of these same style effects, you could probably get a lot of the same reaction even with a Raven. So just putting that out there, if maybe one of these items are beyond your price range and you're like, I don't have the money to spend on something like this, get a Raven. They're 15 bucks. You can slowly start to build up a little arsenal of creativity to go along with it. Otherwise, I would say between the two, I don't. $10 more for control seems totally worth it, especially for what you're getting. But again, that's my advice. Watch the two trailers, decide for yourself what of the pros and cons of this video help make you the better decision. And I wish you luck. See you guys next time. Thanks. Bye.